Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Bangkok and Pattaya. And I got to thinking of this. I want to be clear as a preface. I'm not talking about free cities in the sense that they're any different than any other location in Thailand. They're obviously under the same laws as every place else here in Thailand. But every time I think of the city governments of Pattaya and Bangkok, I always think back to sort of the Holy Roman Empire and the notion of free cities. And I think there's probably a little bit of a parallel there because Thailand utilizes a civil law system that was kind of adopted at a time when when Thailand was interacting a lot with European powers. And as you know, we'll do another video on this, but there's a lot of law and jurisprudence that predates the creation of the Thai Civil and Commercial Code and the notions of civil law that were sort of, I don't know how to put it, maybe grafted into sort of the Thai notions of jurisprudence. Things like the Three Seals Law predate the Civil and Commercial Code by a lot. They were around quite a long time. And still, at least according to a 1978 Supreme Court opinion, may have some bearing on jurisprudence even today. But leaving all that aside, I'm not really talking about this in the sense that Pattaya and Bangkok are separate and apart or anything from Thailand. No, not at all. It's more just kind of a differentiation of administrative function. Under the old Holy Roman Empire, there were these notions of free cities, and for one reason or another, they had been granted a certain degree of sort of, again, autonomy is the wrong word, but limited self-government within a very limited, usually maybe self-administration would be the better way to think of it. They could administer themselves. And, the Bangkok city government is kind of like that. It administers itself. And in a sense, Pattaya is kind of almost a replica in a certain way of that model, but kind of in miniature a little bit. But it's notable that they both have these city governments that basically there's no other jurisdiction in Thailand, there's no other city that has their administration where it operates in that way. And, I was just kind of thinking about it, and I just thought, it's worth a video, I think, because I don't think people realize, that there is some depth to, why Pattaya operates a little differently than, the rest of the province, Chonburi, that surrounds it, or, why Bangkok is, well, in a sense, it almost operates, well, in a very real sense, it almost operates as if it's its own province, kind of. It has a governor and it does things that way. But a lot of the reason I think Bangkok exists in a sort of separate administrative state is because, or a different administrative state, I guess I should say, is because there's so many people there. And administering, administering city government with that many people kind of requires its own specific kind of bureaucracy, and maybe you could argue Pattaya is the same way. In any event, I just think it's noteworthy that, look, these aren't just towns, that you just kind of drive through and they're the same as any other town. They really have differences in terms of the way that they administer themselves.